watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. It is Thursday, November 18th. What a great day, except for the fact that Indiana could not get its act together and get the senators to come together to vote for redistricting. It's a sad, sad day. We've got all of these people in the state of Indiana, all of these supposed MAGA candidates who are being so bold now. They're not up for election until 2030, and so they're being really bold in the state of Indiana. Do not want to redistrict. Going to stand up. Oh, Trump won't be president when it's time for me to run for office. Why do I care? Aren't you tired of this bullshit? People showing you exactly who they are. They come into your community. They beg you to come out and support them. And then when you do, you go do the thing that they ask you to do. You ask them to do something. They tell you to fuck off. That's what we were told in the state of Indiana today. Rod Bray says there's not enough votes. Well, how do we know there's not enough votes? You won't let the vote happen. And why do you care, Rod? Why won't you jump on the MAGA bandwagon? Simple. Rod Bray is not MAGA. You see, he's playing the long game. He's not up for re-election until 2030, so he's saying, fuck Trump. I won't even have to worry about Trump in 2030. But you know who you will have to worry about, Rod? Us. Those who actually vote for you. You have to take us into account. Folks, I was down at the Indiana State Capitol today at the State House, and I was disgusted by the lack of turnout. People saying, yeah, I'm behind redistricting. Yeah. We got to stop the Democrats from getting in power. But nobody could show up today. There's maybe 50 people that showed up on this pivotal event. Well, Kramer, that just shows there's no support in Indiana. No, it rained today. And the people that were down there are all old. You see, the old people are the only ones that seem to be able to take off during the middle of the day because they're retired. That was the number one complaint that I got from people. Why are they having this rally downtown during the week? I work during the week. Yeah, because that's when the congressman, that's when the state reps, that's when the governor, that's when the lieutenant governor, that's when they're all there. You go down when they're there. You scream and yell at them in person. That's the whole point of it. I'm sorry if we've made your liberty and your freedom inconvenient for you. But sometimes, folks, you have to realize what's important. And I know things are tough right now. And I know that it's tough taking a day off work. But you're telling me out of a city of 1 million people, out of a state of 6 million, we could only muster 50 fucking people? Do you understand what's going to happen? Do you Hoosiers understand what's going to happen? If Democrats retake the House in 2026, now I don't think that's going to happen. Based on what I'm seeing, now I could be wrong, I've been wrong before, but I don't see that happening right now. A year from where we are right now, I don't think Democrats have done anything for their base or to grow their base enough to take the House over. I don't see that happening. I could be wrong. But let's just say that they do. Let's say that they get their way and Eric Swalwell gets his way and Jamie Raskin gets his way, because those are the loudest mouths right now. What they're saying is the moment that they get control of the House, they're going after Trump. They're going to go after Trump. They're going to impeach him. They're going to go after the people in his administration. They're going to start the fucking lawfare again. But Rod Bray doesn't care about that. Some of these fucking Hoosiers in Indiana, these rhinos, they don't give a shit about that. Doesn't affect them. Why should they worry about if Trump gets impeached? Because they're idiots, folks. They're not playing for us. They're playing for them. They're rhinos. They're not going along. They're doing what the Democrats want them to do, not what their base wants them to do. We want them to do this. They don't want to do it for one simple reason. They don't care about this nation. They only care about their party. They care about their businesses. And here's the thing that we're going to have to start doing. This is one of the reasons that we started the CramerSez Project. When was the last time that somebody in the state of Indiana, at one of the news stations, one of the newspapers, took a deep dive into Rod Bray's life? his business handlings, his finances, what's going on in his life. Is he having an affair? Is he doing something he shouldn't be doing down there in Martinsville? Is he keeping his P's and Q's clean? Is he dotting his I's and crossing his T's? Is he doing everything the way that he's supposed to? If not, somebody should be on top of that. But they're not. The mainstream media doesn't do that anymore. The newspapers don't do that anymore. No, what they do is they sell ads and they tell you what's going on in your neighborhood and what LGBTQIA program you should be endorsing. That's what the newspapers do anymore. They don't do reporting. They don't have time. They don't have the energy. They don't have the money. We have to do that. That's what the CramerSez project is about, is building a grassroots news service that can look into these issues and report them. You see, I've built a platform, and it's not just what I'm on here, but we're building a system that will allow us to broadcast on a daily basis, starting on social media and going to TV, to deliver news. It's not that tough. It's not that expensive. You can do it pretty reasonably and touch the entire country. That's what the goal is. Now, people have called that crazy. Well, yeah, I thought that shutting down the country for a year was crazy. They did it anyway. Calling me crazy is not going to stop me. We're moving forward. We have to get down to the truth. We have to be able to investigate the people that are telling us how we have to live our lives. Folks, do you realize that's gone in all communities? There is no local journalist anymore looking into what's going on in your community. Go read the newspapers. It's all national news. Very little local news. And all politics are local. We've got a crazy dude here in town by the name of Abdul. And Abdul likes to sue everybody. He's sue happy. I'd like to dig into that and find out more about Abdul. He's a conservative, supposed to be a Republican, but he's suing all the Republicans. If they say anything about him that he doesn't like, he sues them. He's an attorney. He's the problem. We got to look into him. Now, this is just in Indiana. What have you got going on in your state? Wouldn't it be good if there was a place where you could investigate and post content, not to Facebook, no, a central site where it's all there and everybody can see it? And you can post all of your information about how you found the information, where you got it from, all the documents, everything, all parts of the investigations of what we're doing will be available online. You'll be able to see what we saw. It'll be like we're taking you down the rabbit hole with us. This is how we found out about this. This is who told us. This is what they said. This is their testimony. These are the notes we took. This is the recording we made. All of it available to you. Wouldn't that be refreshing instead of having to wait months for the Epstein files to be released? That's what they've been doing with the news. Gatekeepers. And then they made this big whole thing. First of all, conservatives, MAGA, we're going, show us the Epstein files. Show us we want to see it. We want to see it. We want to see it, right? Nope, not going to see it. We're going to have to hide that stuff. And then the left goes, we want to see it. We want to see it. And they acted like we didn't want to see it, like we were trying to hide it. We want to know. You see, here's the thing, folks. The Democrats are so fucking stupid, they don't realize we want the same thing. We don't want elites fucking our fucking kids. That's what we don't want. We can agree on that. That's where we should start. We don't want these motherfuckers fucking our kids. Can't we agree on that? It's not that it's a Democrat doing it or a Republican doing it. Do you know what? I can guarantee you this. When you're being molested, yes, I was molested as a kid. Babysitter's 22-year-old son. I was 7. Oh, I was 5, rather. My brother was 3. Yeah. Yep, still stuck in my brain. Still remember Eric doing what Eric wanted to do. That motherfucker should die. He should have gone to prison for the rest of his life. Folks, we have to be on the same side on this issue. But the Democrats think that they've got the high road, that we're trying to hide things. Now, if Trump is in the Epstein files, he's not. If he were, If there was something that they could use, they wouldn't have had to manufacture 34 counts out of a misdemeanor. If they had real evidence of Trump's dick in some kid's ass, they wouldn't have had to create what they wouldn't have to do what they did at Mar-a-Lago. They don't have anything. There's nothing there. Now, it's not a hoax. Children were molested. Children were harmed. And that should be investigated. But you see, they've made it political. They've tried to make it a weapon. And here's the thing. It's a nothing burger. And now it's blowing up and there's nothing there. The social media people went to social media and said that they're going to find all kinds of images and pictures and Trump is a pedophile and this and that. And you know what they don't have? They don't have a smoking gun, let alone a gun. This is what they've been doing for the last several years, folks. What they do in the media today is not journalism. CramerSez Project is trying to fix that. We can tell the stories. Journalism isn't going to college for 4 years, learning how to write, and doing all the things that they do on TV. That's not it. Journalism is telling a story. That's all it is. I'm telling one right now. We're putting together a documentary about Soros. The most tedious thing is not telling the story. The most tedious thing is getting all the facts right, getting the details, finding the information, locating the B-roll, getting the stuff that we need. That's the hardest part. Telling the story is not hard. Telling the news is no different than telling a joke. You have to know all the details of that joke to get it right. It's no different, folks. It's not that difficult. So that's what we've been doing. That's what we've been working on. And we hope that you'll join us. You can learn more about it at CramerSezProject.com and see if you can be a part of it. You're going to hear me hitting on this a lot. Because for the last 2 years, what I've been doing is setting this up, getting it in place, and finding the people that we need to find for certain areas that we can have this locked in to do it. When we come around to 2026, how truthful do you think the media is going to be by then? Go turn on the news right now. They're having to lie on a daily basis to twist the facts to make everything look worse than it is. Every day. They're trying to find things. They're that person that is trying to get you in trouble at work. That's what they're trying to do to Trump. They're trying to make Trump look bad in our eyes. Now, I see that, you see that, and the solution isn't to just turn it off. We need information, but we need information knowing that it's deeper than what they're telling us. Don't you remember on 60 Minutes when they used to do in-depth investigations? When's the last time you saw one of those? They don't do that anymore. There's a reason for that. Do you know why that is? Because they are owned by BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. They're owned by these three companies. These three companies control everything. They're not going to let their news outlet go and destroy the stock price or the stock value of their pharmaceutical company. They're not going to allow that to happen. That's where we are. And if you don't understand that, if you don't get that that's the way the system is, that you'll never get the news, you'll never get the information, they're not interested in it. BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, these big money guys, Apple, Zuckerberg, right? Hoffman, Gates, all of these big money guys, left or right, are all playing the exact same game. You're not in it. They couldn't give two fucks about you. You're a pawn. I'm a pawn. They are moving chess pieces on the table. You do not equate into anything that they're doing. Why? Because they're billionaires and trillionaires. And yeah, there's trillionaires in the world today. Musk is not the first one. The Sauds are trillionaires. They've already got that money. You got to wake up to the facts and the way that the game is actually being played today. And you can't do that not knowing all the information, not knowing all the players. One of the bravest people to come out and start that was Alex Jones years ago, telling you this crazy stuff, that these people are doing these weird things out in the woods. They're being insane. All these rich people going out into the woods and screaming and yelling, what the hell is up with that? And then he told you about the Rockefellers and the plan that they had, what Kissinger was doing back in the 60s and 70s. explained to you what was going to happen, and you thought it was all a lie, that it was all make-believe, that it wasn't real. Now you're realizing that it is. Alex Jones is being silenced. They took his network. He's fighting for it, but that doesn't guarantee that it's going to be there, and it doesn't guarantee that he's going to get another one, that he's going to be able to move on. We have to do it ourselves. They're not going to do it. Our founding fathers did it themselves. We have to do it. They did what needed to be done. That's why it's important, folks, to realize where we are. Everybody thinks that, well, we won. Trump's in office. I can relax. Did you hear what Swalwell's saying? Swalwell is saying that if they take the House in 2026, they're going to go after Trump. Jamie Raskin went even farther. He says they're going to go after the supporters of Trump. That's guys like Charlie Kirk. They can't get him. They already got him. But they're talking about people all the way down to guys like myself. They can't have us out there doing what we're doing. They cannot have it. The lie cannot be challenged by truth. They've got the media, folks. They've got it all. They've got education. They've got the media. They've got Hollywood. They've got sports. All the institutions that we have in this nation are controlled by the left. We talked about it back in 2020 that we needed a parallel society, a parallel culture. They can do whatever they want, but we're right here next to them. We got our own things. We don't need their Facebook. We've got our own. We don't need their news outlets. We've got our own. Now, that's not sustainable long term as a nation. That is not a United States. The only thing that can unite us, folks, is truth. That's it. Nothing else. Sports won't do it. Theater won't do it. Movies won't do it. Music won't do it. Truth. Truth is where we come together, those things that we can agree upon. And if you don't realize the situation that we're in right now, that we don't get truth. We don't hear truth. What happened over the last 4 years? Truth was silenced. If you told the truth, if you asked questions begging for the truth, what happened? You were silenced. You were told you can't ask that, you can't say that, you can't speak. That is not what's allowed. And you can't challenge the system. Is this what our founding fathers had in mind? Is this what George Washington and Benjamin Franklin and the rest of the boys put their lives on the line for? Is this what they did it for, what we're living through right now? Is this the America that they imagined? Do you think that they said, oh my God, I hope to God that at the end, 250 years from now, that we're paying 50% in taxes, that our Second Amendment rights are always at risk, and our citizens are being silenced for asking questions from their leaders? You think that's what they had in mind? Look at what's going on in Great Britain. Do you know what the difference is between Great Britain and the United States? One thing, the Second Amendment. That's the only thing that's holding these motherfuckers back from doing what they're doing in Great Britain. Locking people up for Facebook posts, locking people up for standing in front of a church, locking people up for asking questions of the government, questioning what's going on. It's unsustainable, folks. We need truth, and the only way we get it is from ourselves. We're not going to get it from those people that have been lying to us for the last 8 years, 10 years, 20 years, 60 years. We find out time and time again that our journalists are not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not looking into anything. You know what the most tedious thing about putting a story together is? The research. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It's tedious. Hours and hours of sitting and watching and listening and reading. Nothing. You're not doing anything. You're just bringing information. A lot of it I know. But we have to confirm it. So we have to go look through this information. We have to look through the footage. It's boring. The only fun that I have is when we start putting the story together and start telling it. That's the fun part for me. The telling of the story. But getting it right, it's tedious. Why is it tedious? Because you got to get it right. For example, we're looking into George Soros right now and the funding that he's been giving these organizations like the Tide Center. His Open Society foundations, folks, they're dangerous. He's funding all of our enemies. trying to convince people that he's a good guy. He's not. The Soros Foundation, the Soros Group, they are not good people. I don't need to tell you that. I'm preaching at the choir. But if you don't understand that they are moving faster and faster, this Mamdani deal in New York was theirs. George Soros, his team, they backed. They were part of the campaign. They were in the house with Mamdani. Now, George Soros is a Jew. And Mamdani, well, he's a Muslim. How does that work out? Same way that Republicans and Democrats do. Politics, they sure do make some strange bedfellows. We'll be right back after this with our guest tonight, special guest Richard Bagsby. He's running for Senate, Indiana Senate in District 22 in Indiana. We'll be talking to him and about his campaign and all of that. That's up next.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
From the halls of Congress
Across the nation.
and around the globe.
You're getting the latest news and conservative views.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
They lied about it. They tried to hide it.
It was 100% unconstitutional. That's what we were saying in 2024.
I could have sworn that yesterday we learned that the FBI tapped my phone.
And today the NLPC has been vindicated by Senator Grassley's document dump, revealing Jack Smith illegally and unconstitutionally spied on American citizens.
Jack Smith spied on members of the United States Senate. What is this, East Germany?
Grassley's document dump has revealed that Jack Smith's team illegally seized call logs from Ron Johnson, Lindsey Graham, Mike Lee, and Josh Hawley in the unconstitutional 2023 Arctic Frost Probe.
From the outset, we said Jack Smith's appointment was unconstitutional. A federal judge vindicated that view. Now we see the connection between unconstitutional prosecutions and illegal evidence gathering.
The NLPC has been on top of this story from the beginning. Follow or subscribe to the NLPC on this platform for more, or visit the National Legal and Policy Center at nlpc.org.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it, please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. We've got this thing called a website. You ever heard of those? It's a website. You go to it and you surf it. You got a board or something. Anyway, the website I'm talking about is the CramerSezProject.com. If you get over there, you can find out all about what we're doing. We are building a grassroots news service. If you are in the business, if you are a former reporter, journalist, editor, if you know the business of news, we want to talk to you. No, we don't have any money yet. Didn't you hear me at the beginning? It's all grassroots. So if you want to find out more about it, get over to the CramerSezProject.com. Our guest tonight is Richard Bagsby. Richard is running for Indiana State Senate in District 22, and he's been having town halls. You know, those things you're not supposed to have because people come in and ask you wild questions. But they're going to take a break for the next month or so because of the holidays. And since he's going to be off, we're going to get that opportunity to talk to him tonight. Richard, welcome to the show.
Hey, Tim, how's it going? Appreciate you inviting me to your show.
Oh, it's going great, and I'm glad that you're here. We ran into each other a few months ago, and like what you're doing in the state of Indiana, we need new blood. My whole new push for the state of Indiana, in fact, the country, is anybody but the incumbent. They've gotten us in trouble. So with that being said, I'm going to shut up. Why don't you tell us about yourself, why you got in, and a little bit about your background?
So my name is Richard Bagsby. I live here in Lafayette, Indiana. I am running for Senate in District 22, which would be the eastern half of Tippecanoe County and all of Carroll County. Originally, I'm from Gary, Indiana, but only spent about 6 years there. Spent most of my childhood in Oklahoma, but I've been here in Lafayette for over 30 years. I'm married. I have 8 children, 6 grandchildren. We live on a small farm, homestead, goats, chickens, used to raise cattle out here. And I'm in the fight, you know. I've been in the fight for ever since COVID. Back in those days, the government wanted to shut everybody down, wanted to shut the churches down. You know, I'm a minister, and it just went all against the Bible and all against the Constitution, and they had the right one. when they started to mess with my children in school. You know, they wanted to mask my children up. I had 2 children. You know, I call my journey the John Wick. I had a John Wick moment. I had a political John Wick moment. And I was traveling for work. I was construction managing superintendent, and I traveled all across the country building targets, remodeling different buildings, Menards, I mean, you name it, hospitals, all of that. And during the COVID days, COVID years, whatever you want to call it, the school started masking up the kids. And I had 2 kids. My wife and I, we had 2 kids at the time that had a speech impediment. And they were getting in trouble in their speech therapy class. And I'm like, man, what's a 6-year-old and a 8-year-old getting in trouble in speech therapy class? You know, come to find out, in speech therapy, you know, they would pull their masks down in order to speak, to be heard. And it was just the oddest and strangest. I'm a very practical man. I'm a carpenter by trade. You know, we always say, yeah, I'm just a stupid carpenter, you know. And so we just think very practical. Like, now, why would they have masks in speech class? I mean, you shouldn't even go to speech at that point. Right. Long story short, I come home from work, and my wife's telling me how they were getting in trouble. I said, well, you know, we'll just go to a school board meeting and we'll just ask for an exemption. You know, I start mansplaining what I'm going to do and how I'm going to work this out and how everything's going to be all, you know, peaches and cream at the school board meeting. Right. Go to the school board meeting. I ask for an exemption. You'd think I'd try to detonate a nuclear bomb. I mean, they literally try to lay into me and try to make me out as the bad guy. And
well, because it was the most deadly disease that mankind had ever seen, Richard.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we got to all be fearful for our lives because it's the most deadly disease ever. And who cares about your education, your kids' education, or improving their speech, right? Because it's deadly.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know, but supposedly COVID was able to clock in and out of work. You know, we had to be at work at a certain time and leave at a certain time because somehow, some way COVID would show. I don't know. And so, but they said something to me that you just don't say to a person like me. You know, they said, your fight is not with us, it's with the state. And I've been at it ever since, man. You know, I started studying the Constitution. I started studying the Indiana Constitution. I started learning that a lot of the issues and problems that we face state and locally is due to largely, in part, to the lawmakers. The state legislatures. And I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying, you know, the rank and file. I'm saying there are individuals, minority groups of leadership inside of our legislature that that's manipulating and influencing the other legislatures, you know. And so I viewed that as a problem. As I got deeper and deeper involved, I learned that, man, I could run for office. I could really push the envelope, you know what I mean? And I have a backbone. I'm not scared of anything, you know, especially people, you know, and maybe I'm just built for it, you know? And so we ended up running in 2022, we meaning 7 of us. It was me. And then I had a team of 6, and we ran for Indiana 41, House Rep District 41. And we started about 4 months before the election, didn't know what we were doing, you know, a bunch of pirates, you know, and so, you know, we knocked 6,500 doors out of 7,500, raised $19,000, and came in dead last, you know. But the front runner, they gave that kid $450,000. He only beat me by 100 votes. And so I was like, man, that's, for the first time running, you know, I took it as a win, you know. But you know, a loss is a loss, whether it's by 1 vote or 1,000 votes, right? And so now moving forward, you know, getting back to now me running for Senate, it's a whole different thing and a whole different ball game.
Well, let me jump in there real quick. You mentioned the first run, and when we talked a couple of weeks ago, you said that was the what really taught you how the system works, and that opened your eyes to what you need to do, and that, in fact, the message that you gave is, your message was being prepared, is knowing what to do, having that experience, and how much more helpful and more prepared do you think you are? Well, how helpful was that education, and how much more prepared are you this time around than last time?
Well, I mean, it was tremendously helpful and a godsend that I did run at that point in time, because I learned how to fight, and I learned how to play the game with the rules and regulations that are set. And even though I'm an outsider and an outcast, I learned quick. And so we did an after actions report and found that indeed we started way too late, but we were doing what everyone else do, right? And that's start in January. Typically, I mean, you're going to see it this time around too. People are starting in January, people are starting in February, and a lot of the times those ships crash and burn. And so we learned that, number one. And so to correct that, we started back in December. So we've been campaigning for a year this time, and we still have nearly 6 months to go.
Right, and it makes a big. You've seen a difference this time around versus last time, right? Because of the head start. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, they have polls out on me. They have, they're really after it right now, and we've made headway and strides that we would have never made back in those days. And it was because I got into the race the way I got into the race the first time and learned so much so quick, and then I had 4 years to marinate and think about strategies, and what I was going to do, and how the established GOP, the establishment GOP, that leadership, how they choose winners and losers. They can I learned that they can give a person access to their canvassing software, or they can restrict access, which they restricted my access. And so what they inadvertently did when they restricted my access, I'm a carpenter by trade, like I said. Right. And that means something in the real world. As a carpenter, we don't have everything we need at all times on a job site. And so what do? We invent things on the fly because we have to, And so I'm used to challenges. I'm used to problems. And the problem was I was restricted from a canvassing software that other candidates were able to use but me. And so what did I do? I invented my own. So now I have my own patented canvassing software that's way better than theirs, modern, with modern technology, and it has up-to-date information.
Well, Richard, here's what's interesting, and this is the difference between what I call the American can-do spirit, right, and politicians. Yeah. Politicians only do what they know to do. I worked in politics for a long time, and it was funny how many times we'd bring up a new technology or new capability, and they were the last to jump on board. Being able to think of new ideas or new ways of doing things. Do you think that capability, that creativity, is going to be welcomed with open arms, or do you think you're going to have to fight your way into the door based on what you've seen so far?
Yes, it will not be welcomed because it challenges the status quo. Right. And see, when you introduce something new that can rival something old, right? It always bursts at the seams. I like when Jesus said, you don't put new wine in old skin because the skins will burst, And so, but you have to have that flexibility. You have to have that tenacity. You have to have that grit, that drive, that energy. Because let me tell you something, as a minister, and going to church, you find churches that have a bunch of old people, and nothing against old people, a lot of my friends are older, very much older than me. I'm 43. A lot of my friends are in their 60s and 70s, and I trust some of them with my life. But here's the thing: they won't last forever. And so there are no children around playing. No teenagers, no youngsters. Whatever it is, whatever organization it is, it's going to die. Period. It's going to die with the older generation. And see, the difference between that and politics is more devious. And so politics are going to find, those establishment folks, they're going to find the younger versions of them, the ones that they molded and shaped into their image, right? And so, you'll find that they will take over the party. Let me tell you something. I'm mark my words. The way we're going right now as a party, the GOP party, and I'm not saying, see, the Republican platform is tight. That's a tight platform, man. And if you can align to it, then you'll be all right. But see, they don't align to it. And so with the direction we're going right now, in the next 10 years, 15 years, I say 15 just to be, I think it's going to be in the next 10 years. If we go the same direction, same pathway, we'll see a Democratic supermajority. Because they'll blame.
I agree 100%. I agree. What's the difference? We were talking earlier before we went on air that when I was working with the state party, with the GOP caucus, we were the second most conservative state in the nation. And over the last 10, 15 years, we've migrated to being into the middle of the pack at 22, 23. Why would I go fight for the conservatives if they're not going to be conservative? Which is a great segue. Your platform calls for eliminating property taxes. You advocate for school choice. You're against vaccine mandates. You believe that abortion should never be allowed. And constitutional carry, you're a big advocate. We'll be talking about those issues and more when we come back. Our guest is Richard Bagsby. He's running for District 22 in the state of Indiana for Senate. And we'll be talking to him about those subjects and more right after this.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
Last week in our We Told You So series, we warned GM investors that CEO Mary Barra was bad for business. We were right. Barra's love affair with EVs just cost stockholders $1.6 billion as GM takes a massive loss after Biden subsidies come to an end. Paul Chesser reported Bank of America had no problem debanking conservatives.
This is an issue that NLPC's been investigating since the story broke.
But refused to expose Jeffrey Epstein's financial activities.
During the January 6th uprising, Bank of America scrubbed through its data and turned over credit card information without being asked, without being subpoenaed, without having a warrant given to them by federal law enforcement. At the same time, they were doing business with Jeffrey Epstein without question. And then after Epstein died, they suddenly realized, we need to report this activity. And they filed 2 suspicious activity reports, as they should have done when Epstein was still alive and still banking, but they didn't do so. They were basically covering up the business that Epstein was conducting.
But wait, there's more. NLPC Chairman Peter Flaherty is calling for the indictment of John Brennan, the ex-CIA director who pushed the Russia collusion hoax, relied on the discredited Steele dossier, and lied to Congress.
According to the House Judiciary Committee, John Brennan committed crimes. We believe there's even more to the story, and we're going to stay on top of it.
That was last week. What's NLPC working on next? Find out by subscribing to the NLPC on this platform or by visiting us at nlpc.org.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome back. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. It is Thursday, November 18th. My special guest tonight, Richard Bagsby from District 22 in the state of Indiana. He's running for the Senate. We'll be back with him in just a moment. In the meantime, if you haven't been over to the CramerSez Project, get your butts over there now. That's where you want to be, the CramerSezProject.com. We are building a grassroots news service. We want you to be a part, especially if you've got a broadcast background, you know how to edit news, you know how to edit audio, you know how to write, speak, you know how to do stuff in front of a camera. We want to talk to you. We have no money. It's grassroots. That's the main point. Speaking of grassroots, let's get back with Richard Bagsby. Richard, I went through your website and found out all the stuff that's going to get you in trouble. And one of them is you want to eliminate property taxes and shift to a 10% flat tax in the state of Indiana. Walk me through.
So Property tax. I want to eliminate homestead property tax.
Okay.
I'm not saying going after the rentals. I'm not saying going after the business property the business property taxes, and which we favor a lot here in Indiana. But what I'm saying is I want to eliminate grandma's property tax on her homestead that she raised her generations. And my grandmother, she lost her house due to property tax. She had it paid off. She was a retired postal worker. And we lost the family house because the taxes were more than what her fixed income could bear, Yep,
I've been saying the same thing.
Yeah. And now as far as a flat 10% tax all across the board, I mean, I think that's so practical. And once again, in construction, when you're dealing with engineers and architects, they do some of the most complex things that really does not work in real life. But because they went to school, they went to college for 18 years, and they're right. Smarter than you, then yeah, we could put the roof on the walls before the walls go up. And right. We're supposed to just say that, we agree. No, that's stupid.
Well, Richard, the thing that I've been saying for the last several years is that, we went through the collapse of 2008. We had the issue with COVID. We had the fallout of all of the money that got printed in the last several years. And all those people that were responsible for all those bad decisions had a lot of letters after their names. Right. Oh, yeah. So we can't look at education as the end all be all, and that just because you've gone to college, you've got common sense. Talk to me about the government spending on education and healthcare. You want to stop that as well, or pull that back to balance the budget? Let's talk about that.
So here's the thing. When you take in welfare, they want everything. Okay. They want all your information. They want who's inside the house. They want to know what your, all Social Security numbers. They want everything, all over a tenth of what your income is a lot of the times, With education, it's the same. I think the Indiana Education, Indiana Department of Education, or the Department of Education in Indiana, takes in roughly 7% of federal funds. But the feds get to decide what the kids are learning. For example, okay, he voted for children pre-K through third grade to learn sex education. Where's that coming from? What exactly am I going to teach my 6-year-old about sex education? And so that's what I'm talking about. If you want to get rid of fat, start with the education. Start with the fact that a lot of that money for education doesn't go to the students or the teachers. It goes to administration buildings. It goes to boards, right? And bureaucracy in the school education system. It goes towards trans people, okay, coming to read children's novels, children's Dr. Seuss books to your preschool and your kindergarten class. It goes towards programs like DEI and social education learning. That's what that money goes toward. That's what I'm saying. Pull that money back. Okay. Pull that money back and put that money where it could benefit the greatest, right? In teachers' wages, in what the quality of education that the kid will get. I'm going to tell you something. 90% of our kids don't know who our governor is.
Yep. I agree.
You know what I mean? 90% of our 100%. Kids don't know who 99% of our students don't know who the president of the city council is. So that's what I mean is that you are not, number one, you're not a good trustee of the money because you spend the money on stupid things. Number one. Number two, because you're taking money from the feds, that little 7%. Okay, over half of Indiana's budget goes towards education.
Yep.
What do we have to show for it? Okay.
Falling scores.
That I was going to get to that. The way I was trying to think of the word, but the way that the teachers are now forced to teach towards the test and not teach towards reality, right? Balancing a checkbook, credit scores, teaching civics, right? Shot class.
Well, I think that's probably one of the most important things that we're missing is civics. Without civics, Richard, our kids don't care about the future because they don't understand our past. They don't understand what their rights are. They don't understand what belongs to them. They don't understand what our heritage is. We see these kids today when you make statements about the government and you speak out, they don't realize, they get all upset with you, and they don't realize our country was based on revolution.
That's it.
Everybody that was in charge of our government were all criminals. They all bitch about, Donald Trump having that misdemeanor that was turned into 34 felonies. They like to throw that out there. He's been convicted. He's been convicted. Everybody that started this country was a criminal.
You should read my book sometime.
What?
Transformation, the Untold Story of Richard Richmond.
Well, it is. It's the transformation, right? That's who we all were. We were honest men trying to do our thing, and they transformed us into criminals so we could save the nation. And when you do that, when they decide that you're the worst person on the face of the earth, and you decide that you're going to push back against it, I've said here recently that the thing that the left doesn't want to do is wake up those men who quieted their beasts.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where we're at. And one of the big fights that the left has had is education. The fact that you're even talking about that seriously has got to be scaring the crap out of them. I mean, you're a big advocate for school choice. Talk to me about that.
Oh yeah. Let me tell you something. You want to get a man's attention, go after his wallet.
Yep.
Money. Play with his money. And so the only way we can get through to these people, because let me tell you something, they're going to still take money from the feds, okay? Well, we'll do school choice where the money follows the student. And don't get me started with trying to figure out who I need to talk to possibly to legally be able to allow the money to follow the teacher, where now the teacher can be like a subcontractor to the parents, whereas the parents need a math teacher. Well, that math teacher that has that degree now can go inside the home and do private sessions for X amount an hour or whatever the contract states. That's when you're going to get the public schools' attention. You're going to get those bureaucrats' attention. You'll get the teachers' union attention. And see, I told you in the beginning, I am very comfortable with whatever anyone asks me, and I'm going to answer it the best of my ability, but not like a politician. And the reason why is I am not scared of them at all. There's nothing inside of my heart that makes it flutter or makes my heart, my blood pressure rise. I mean, none of that stuff.
Well, they make my blood pressure rise. Rod Bray has risen my blood pressure here in the last few weeks.
Well, here's the thing, Tim. I don't know if you see this, but there is a weird looking elephant.
Yeah, that is not the general. That's not the GOP elephant. It's that.
That is an African war elephant. That's what that is.
Love it.
An African war elephant. And the thing is, I don't agree with the circus elephant. The circus elephant left me behind. The circus elephant betrayed me when I first ran in 41. The circus elephant is the one that restricted my access to the canvassing software.
Yep.
The circus elephant tried to pay me off, tried to give me money, and to be that black face of the Republican bill.
Yep.
Circus elephant did that.
Yep.
Because the only thing that the circus elephant knows is tricks.
Well, that's because that's how they got there. By the way, when he's talking about circus elephant, he's talking about the GOP establishment. For the audience that didn't pick up on that, if they didn't follow that, I mean, Richard, that's the whole thing. That's what we've been fighting against. That's what Trump is fighting against. Populism and the common man. The establishment has proven they cannot be trusted. They will rip you off the first chance they get, and if you don't stand up to them, they're going to continue to do it. You've been doing that, and one of the statements that you made, which I think is interesting, is you are very, very, very strict on abortion. Should never be allowed.
Yeah.
Talk me through that.
I can't go out and murder somebody because it's against the law. It's against nature's law. It's against creation's law.
Even if you have a good reason, right? Like it's not fitting into your schedule and it doesn't fit into your lifestyle. You still can't do it in that situation. You still can't murder.
Murder is murder.
Right.
No matter how you look at it. and you have to make that decision. You have to make that decision on your own. And I'm not going to force you not to murder somebody. That's on you.
Yeah.
I'm saying that I'm not going to cross that line, because when you start crossing that line, a little leaven leavens the whole lump. When you start crossing that line of immorality, that well is deep. That well is infinite, and you start you find people very numb to human life, whereas that they can live any kind of way. And if there's a problem, we just off them, like the mob, we just kill them, and that's what we don't want. We don't want a society to be so numb to life, to human life, that the age of accountability dies in our generation. You know what I'm saying? And like people look at it from a, they'll say, well, you coming from a biblical aspect. I'm really not. I'm not coming.
No, I don't want to be killed. If there was no Bible, Richard, I say this to people all the time. If there was no Jesus, if there was no God, if there was no Bible, if there was no religion, I still wouldn't want you killing me. I'm pretty sure.
No, absolutely not. And that, what does that teach though? What does that teach? My children, when they do something wrong, I hold them accountable.
Right.
That way they can reflect, learn how to critically think their way through something. I tell my son, he's 13. I tell him, son, before you do anything in life, take 60 seconds to think about it. Good, bad, or indifferent. Take 60 seconds to think about all the steps and then proceed. Because the most laborious thing for a man to do in life is think first.
Yep. Slow down.
Slow down and think. Yep. Yeah. And so then you won't have to abort no baby because you slowed down and you thought about it like, man, I could get pregnant.
Yep. Yeah, that was one of the things as a young man. My dad was a minister. It was pounded into my head that if you knock some girl up, that you got to get married, you got to take care of the child. And I was having a hard time taking care of myself. I could not see myself taking care of a child at the time. So I was really careful about that area of my life. And, it's funny. People will have all kinds of reasons to blame failures, right? But they always take credit for all the successes.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Big time.
Let's talk about constitutional carry. Red flag laws.
Yeah, I got in trouble with the red flag laws. But here's the thing.
Well, now you got me intrigued. Now I gotta find out how you got in trouble with the red flag laws.
I was in a debate in Boone County, and they asked me about my views on 2A, and I let them know that 2A is the reason why we can say 2A.
Yep.
2A is the whole reason why we have a freedom of speech. 2A is the reason why, we have all the liberties that we have. 2A is the reason why we don't get frontal attacks by other nations. 2A is the reason why, because that's what got us out of the tyranny in the American Revolution. That the forefathers knew that if you take our guns from us, then we're defenseless. Number one. So it's not just about hunting, but it's about four things. All right. It's about number one, feeding your family with putting food on the table. Yep. It's about protecting your person, meaning your individual self. It's about protecting, what is it? So self, yeah. So it's also about protecting your family inside your household, and it's about your civic duty, your civil duty, I should say.
Right, the community.
Meaning that in Indiana, people don't understand that according to our Indiana Constitution, when you turn 17, you are automatically enlisted in the militia. Automatically at 17, So anyone out there that don't realize that, welcome to the Army. I mean, so big advocate of 2A. I build ARs. That's my hobby. I just built a new 7.62 by 39 millimeter on a
nice
platform. and it's the coolest gun I've ever built. And so 2A is part of our heritage, part of our American culture, you know. And going back to the kids, people say, "Why'd you make so many kids?" Well, it's because America doesn't make enough kids. You know?
You're damn right. Elon Musk has been talking about that. I just did a thing about it the other day that I don't know if you saw that China miscalculated by 100 million years ago, and they are going to have their population peaked about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so they're saying by 2050 that there's going to be less than 650 million Chinese.
Yeah.
I mean, I've grown up 1.2 billion my entire life, right?
Yes.
And now they're saying half of that. And not only that, but our population in the U.S. is collapsing.
Well,
it's a problem.
Tim. Here's the thing, Tim. In China, the difference between China and America, and you know, I don't support the Chinese communists whatsoever. I just observe things, right?
Yep.
The difference is this: even when their population declines, they'll still have their culture.
Yeah, 100%.
You know why? Because they keep an ironclad lock on their culture. You can't just come in there and say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be Muslims," or "Oh yeah, we're gonna be Christians." You know, you can't do that. They're not about to let you do that. You know.
Well, let me ask you that. You went to the Muslim issue. How concerned are you with that here in the United States, in particular in Indiana?
It just depends. So, big thing is this. I don't just joke around when I talk about birth rates. I mean that.
Yep.
I mean, I researched that. I think that's a problem. I think, you know, I think we're at 1.4, 1.6, something like that birth rate. In order to maintain a culture, I seen a study. In order to maintain a culture, you have to have 2.3 plus birth rate, you know, to maintain your culture. And so the biggest contributors to our culture are blacks, whites, and American Mexicans. Okay, or Mexican Americans. Those three ethnic groups contribute to America's birth rate, which is like I said, 1.4, 1.6.
Yep.
So we're still on the decline, regardless of how we look at it. When I was born in 1982, it was right around 1.8, 1 point, something like that. We've seen the lowest population rate in 2023.
Wow, I didn't know it was that close. Wow.
Hey, what was happening in 2023?
COVID restrictions, shutdown.
Yeah, that's right. So you would
the
think
bars were all shut down and the churches were all shut down.
Well,
Nobody was hooking up.
You would think that, you know, people being hibernating in their houses, they make a bunch of babies, but no. My point is this: Muslims from Muslim nations. I'm talking about real Muslims. I'm not talking about black Muslims out here and all that. No, I'm talking about real Muslims from Muslim nations. People like old boy out in New York. Okay.
Yep.
Their birth rate are like in the force.
Yeah. 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 They're blowing us away.
Out here looking crazy.
They're blowing us away. You know, what's funny, Richard, is there was a poll recently in Great Britain where they went and they asked white women in particular about this problem, and they're saying, fine, that's okay. What's wrong with that? They're still British. And it's like, yeah, but your culture is being erased. The British culture, they're not British. Right? They're not assimilating. They're tearing apart the culture. We're not talking white or black.
Exactly.
This is not about color. This is culture.
That's right. It's culture.
It's who we are as a people.
Yep.
Right?
And that's why I emphasized the Muslims from Muslim nations.
100%.
Because the Muslims that are here in America, like even the black Muslim, at the end of the day, they're Americans. At the end of the day, they have American etiquette, American behavior. They're, because they have been Americanized, they've been here, their forefathers have been here, and so, but when you start talking about people that want to enforce Sharia laws and all these weird things that we're not accustomed to, okay, we're not accustomed to, but we allow. President out in Russia, Putin, yeah. Putin told him, hey, I don't care if y'all come here, but, we're not going to be doing all that other stuff, that weird stuff.
Well, I think it's important to tell anybody who wants to come to the U.S., and the door's open. If you've got something to bring and you can make our lives better, then you're welcome, right? But you come here and start acting crazy, and you start bringing that shit that you're bringing with you from that place that you're fleeing because it was so terrible, you start doing that here, we're gonna have a problem. And I think we do. And I think it's time to start speaking honestly about it.
And
my
we're
guest
already
is
dealing with people in California trying to come over, right?
Exactly. Well, they burned down they made their place terrible. They burned it down, and now they're wanting to come and start doing the same stuff here. We've already told them, if you're going to bring that crap here, don't do it. We don't want it.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
My guest is Richard Bagsby. Richard, tell everybody where they can find you. We got your website up there, but if they want to donate or get a hold of you or whatever else, do you have an email they can get a hold of, or can they get a hold of you directly through the website?
Yeah, directly through the website. My email is richardbagsbyin@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. My Twitter handle is rbagsby Indiana. I think either rbagsby Indiana or rbagsby in. You'll find me though. Put in Richard Bagsby.
Let me ask you.
Yep.
Well, I was going to say you're on your Instagram, Facebook. Are you on X?
Yep. I'm
TikTok.
on X. Yep.
Okay.
TikTok. I'm on all of it. I'm on everything.
Okay. What is the what's something that, if there's somebody out there that wants to help you and wants to jump on board and become a part of your campaign, what's the best way to do that, and what are you needing right now?
RichardBagsbyForIndiana.com. Go there. There's a tab that says volunteer, I think. Let me see here. I just want to make sure that I give you the right thing. Here we go. Yeah, so join the team. There's a tab that says join the team. You hit that tab, and there's a form that you fill out. My campaign manager will reach out to you immediately. We have a lot of people that fill that out to join door knocking campaigns, to join phone banking. We are a fully developed organization, the War Elephants. We're a fully developed organization, underground organization, and all we like to do is primary incumbents, and we're pretty good at it now. We have modern software, modern canvassing software that we didn't buy from anyone. We created, we made it. And so it's a deadly thing politically. Now, big thing is we have a $50,000 goal right now. We're at phase 3 of the financial plan, and phase 3 is at 50,000. So we are always looking for donations because we have a roadmap, a financial roadmap of milestones and line items that has to get done because we do have a pathway to victory. We have a huge pathway to victory. We just want to keep up the momentum. So more volunteers, more donations. Donations is a big thing right now because we are gearing up. Obviously, I don't want to say it on the air what we're gearing up to do, but we are gearing up to phase 3 of our operations. So,
well, it's interesting. I'm going to give you a pat on the back, blow some smoke up your tail. I scream at people all the time, saying that you got to do something, you got to do something, you got to do something. It is not easy. It's not simple, right? It's a lot of work. And no. Richard, first of all, I thank you for doing it. I hope you're successful. We want to get the incumbents out. We want to get fresh blood in. We want to get new people in. But more important than that, I think that what your example shows is that one person, everybody says, I'm just one person. I can't do anything. Mm-hmm. Let's close out on that. Tell me about what you look at, the power of being one person. Are you invincible? No, but are you a danger? Yeah. Talk to me about that and how you approach that.
I can only give you an example. So my opponent, he's a 27-year incumbent. He's not a rhino. He's a real liberal, a real one though. This is not fake or pretend. He supported sex reassignment surgery for minors. Just this year alone, he supported giving a driver's license to illegal aliens, which, mind you, an illegal alien is the one that killed our National Guardsman out there on 65, allegedly, right? So the power of one person. My opponent, 27-year incumbent, is anti-Trump. He's always been anti-Trump. He was interviewed by, a group of LGBT folks, because he supports that stuff. So he's a strong anti-Trump person, and he was against redistricting. But through the efforts of one person, now mind you, I do have a team, wonderful team, but one person's bravery, and this is not coming from a place of pridefulness. This is coming from a place of strategy, in a place of competence, in a place of no fear, right? He changed his ways. I called him out 2 days later. Now, all of a sudden, he's a Trump supporter.
Yep. That's how it works.
So the power of one. Now, I'm the most hated in the area now, because he flipped that way. But I'm okay with that, man, because listen, if you're not hated, then you're doing something wrong.
Yep. That's the way I look at it. Richard, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah,
we will be right back. You too. We'll be right back after this.
The CramerSez Project will return
After this important message. Last week in our We Told You So series,
we warned GM investors that CEO Mary Barra was bad for business.
we were right.
Barra's love affair with EVs just cost stockholders $1.6 billion as GM takes a massive loss after Biden subsidies come to an end. Then, Paul Chesser reported Bank of America had no problem debanking conservatives.
This is an issue that NLPC's been investigating since the story broke.
But refused to expose Jeffrey Epstein's financial activities.
During the January 6th uprising, Bank of America scrubbed through its data and turned over credit card information without being asked, without being subpoenaed, without having a warrant given to them by federal law enforcement. At the same time, they were doing business with Jeffrey Epstein without question. And then after Epstein died, they suddenly realized, we need to report this activity. And they filed 2 suspicious activity reports, as they should have done when Epstein was still alive and still banking, but they didn't do so. They were basically covering up the business that Epstein was conducting.
But wait, there's more.
NLPC Chairman Peter Flaherty is calling for the indictment of John Brennan, the ex-CIA director who pushed the Russia collusion hoax, relied on the discredited Steele dossier, and lied to Congress.
According to the House Judiciary Committee, John Brennan committed crimes. We believe there's even more to the story, and we're going to stay on top of it.
That was last week. What's NLPC working on next? Find out by subscribing to the NLPC on this platform.
Or by visiting us at nlpc.org.
Introducing Tusk.
With Tusk, you get uncensored news and secure browsing.
All while protecting your privacy.
Choose the news you trust and take control of your internet.
Join the free speech revolution with Tusk.
Download Tusk today at tuskbrowser.com.
To learn more about the CramerSez project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
Please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Whoa, we're almost done. Wow. What a show, what a show, what a show. It is, it's at the end of it here. We're wrapping things up. Tonight's special guest, I'd like to thank Richard Bagsby. He's running for Senate in the state of Indiana, District 22. We wish him luck. He's got some bold ideas. I like the idea of getting rid of income tax. Not income tax, but property tax. If you own a property for your homestead in the state of Indiana, if you have a homestead, you would think that you would eventually actually own it and not owe the state continually for the rest of your life. You know, I said it last night that if you're paying taxes your entire life, from the time you start working to the time you go in the ground, you're a slave. There has to be a point where you no longer pay in the system. Seems fair to me. How about you? Right? And it's not because I'm 60. I've been saying this my entire life. In fact, I never even thought it was fair to pay taxes. I always thought that was a ripoff as well. But anyway, I digress. Hey, if you want to find out what the CramerSez project is all about, get yourself over to thecramersezproject.com. It'll explain it. We are looking to build a grassroots news service. You probably heard me talk about it a lot over the last couple of weeks. We are looking to do something different. What we have in place right now does not work. We've got to do something different, and I propose that we do it from the ground up. Top-down news doesn't work when the people at the top are liars. You got a lot more people at the bottom that can bubble it up. I think what's interesting is that Musk and what he's done with X and the community notes, being able to let the people run it. There's nobody there going through and checking what you're saying. As soon as you say something crazy, somebody will put a note up. Now, here's what's interesting. I say a lot of stuff, and people call me conspiracy theorist, and I'm out there spreading misinformation and disinformation. Do you know what? Not big community noted. And when I was, it confirmed what I was saying. Isn't that odd? I love the tools that prove that we're right, folks. We are building something special. Get yourself over to the CramerSezProject.com, learn more about it, and if you can help us out, we would love to have you join us. With that being said, going to wrap up tonight. One last thing. We are working currently on a new documentary. It's a 9-part series. We're doing this documentary a little bit different. Most documentaries, they work for months, they release it, and then you've got a piece that's old. And we think that the story of George Soros, what is going on with Mamdani, and so many other things that have anything to do with the Open Society Foundations, i.e. funding of violence, hint, moving you forward where we're headed, is that you'll definitely want to be part of this series. What we're looking at is they're going to be short documentaries, documentary pods. But once they're done, completed, they will fit together nicely as one big piece and seamlessly tell you the entire story. But what we're going to do is we're going to do that as things start to unfold. More and more people are looking at George Soros. People in the DOJ are looking at George Soros. We expect that if he survives this onslaught, the legal onslaught, that he will be put through the ringer. And at his age, well, I wish him the best. With that being said, thank you for watching, and if you get the chance, get over to the CramerSezProject.com. We'll see you there.
Thank you for watching Kramer Says Live.
This concludes this broadcast.
Please follow, like, and subscribe to be notified the next time
The Kramer Says Project goes live.